FICO is a global company. We spend a lot of time deploying in different countries, availability zones, regions, so on and so forth. Depending on each of those regions, we have a number of applications that we deploy. We're always known as the credit scoring company, but we're actually large-scale analytics. So there's a lot of different financial government institutions that we integrate with, and moving towards a distributed model gives higher availability to them, more peace of mind. Allows us to also touch on small, medium-sized businesses that we would lose typically, being an on-prem or a larger cloud deployment. FICO traditionally was based on a legacy VMware-centric model, very monolithic large blocks of compute being deployed. As we move towards a distributed application architecture, it made more sense to start moving towards OpenStack. Not from just a cost basis, but from a scalability basis. So we looked at a lot of different solutions. We looked at the traditional VMware-centric model. We looked at containers. Really at the end, it made sense for us to actually do a combination of distributed architecture. So part of that was moving towards OpenStack, moving towards containerization. We use OpenShift as part of that design. We also run a combination of Docker and other different types of containers. So our OpenStack deployment right now is a combination of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We're also using SolidFire and Ceph for storage. We use Cisco UCS for the hardware, and we specifically run a hyper-converged model, which is a little bit different than the traditional design for most OpenStack environments where you separate compute from storage. But we found that we actually get good density from it, and depending on the number of applications that are being deployed in a cradle, which is like an availability zone, it allows us to actually meet scale and cut costs. Leading to that model really was cost sensitive, and also the scalability. Those were the main contributing factors. FICO really likes the fact that it's open source software. We don't just want to be a consumer, we want to actually participate. So the fact that it's open source for us is actually an advantage. We're not just a consumer, right? But every other type of platform that we looked at, for the most part, didn't allow that type of flexibility and didn't allow us to partner. So we're currently actually global. We have Australia, we have Turkey, we have South Africa, we have the general regions within the United States, but we also have expanded into China. We have stuff going in Japan. So I would say within the last 12 to 18 months, give or take, we probably tripled in size and number of deployments, and that's all been with OpenStack. We find the OpenStack summits to be very engaging. Attending all the development really helps in a lot of different ways. Always looking forward to the new advances and roadmaps and integration with different components. I find that to be fascinating, so I find myself staying up later and reading more documentation and white papers as opposed to going to sleep when I should. But it's more engaging. And there's not anything really that we've determined from a performance perspective or anything that can't be solved with software, really, at this point in time. So we're actually looking towards doing integration with CloudForms and OpenShift on top of OpenStack. That's going to be our de facto standard when it comes to design. Cisco UCS is going to be the hardware profile that we're going to be basing everything on. We're going to tie that into UCS Central. But I think the paramount things are having a single pane of glass from a management perspective where we could tie in RESTful-based APIs.